You're sitting in a car at night, engine idling. Streetlights feel like a slow pulse. The city is quiet in that specific way it only gets after midnight. Not peaceful, just emptied out. You're not thinking about anything in particular. That's the point. Thinking leads somewhere. Feeling leads somewhere else. So you stay here, hands on the wheel, eyes forward, music low. This is how it starts in Drive. Just a man doing what he does well. Moving through darkness. Precise. Alone. And if you're honest, something about that feels familiar. Chapter 1. The Man Who Functions. The driver doesn't talk much. When he does, it's brief, practical. Enough to get through the moment. He has rules, 5 minutes, no names, no questions. He sticks to them because rules keep things clean, predictable, and safe. You recognize this. Not because you drive getaway cars, but because you've built your own version of it. Your job, your routine. The way you move through days without really touching them. You wake up. You do what needs to be done. You solve problems. You show up. You provide. You keep your word. From the outside, it looks like discipline. From the inside, it feels flat. Not painful exactly, just muted. Like the volume got turned down years ago and never went back up. That's emotional numbness. Not emptiness and not sadness. It's narrower than that. It's when your inner world gets compressed into something manageable. Feel less so you can function more. In the movie, the driver isn't broken. He's adapted. For him, at some point, feeling became a liability. Maybe it cost too much. Maybe it distracted him. Maybe it made him weak at the wrong time. So he sealed it off. You've done the same thing. Maybe a breakup you never really processed. Maybe after years of stress that never resolved. Maybe after disappointment stacked on disappointment, until hope started feeling naive. So you tightened your life. Less risk, fewer expectations. You stopped asking certain questions because you already knew where they led. And it worked. You became reliable, capable, calm under pressure. But something else happened quietly. You stopped being surprised by yourself. The driver's silence isn't confidence, it's containment. Silence keeps things from spilling out. It keeps the past from knocking. It keeps the future from asking too much. When you don't speak, you don't reveal. When you don't reveal, you don't attach. When you don't attach, you don't lose. That's the deal. And for a while, it's a good one. Until it isn't. Chapter 2. When Numbness Works Too Well. The driver lives by routines. Work on cars. Drive at night. Sleep during the day. Repeat. There's comfort in that. No surprises, no emotional negotiations, no conversations that drift into uncomfortable territory. You understand this part deeply. Routine gives you traction when motivation is gone. Structure replaces desire. Discipline fills the space where meaning used to be. You don't need to feel inspired to go to work. You just go. You don't need to feel connected to keep moving. You just move. This is how numbness hides. It disguises itself as productivity. You might even be proud of it, You tell yourself you're just practical now, more realistic, less emotional than you used to be. But look closer. The driver doesn't choose his routines because he loves them. He chooses them because they don't ask anything from him. They don't require vulnerability. They don't demand reflection. They don't stir memory. They just keep time moving, and that's the danger zone. When life becomes something you manage instead of something you participate in, you start living in maintenance mode. Fix what breaks, handle what comes up, avoid anything that might destabilize the system. Addiction often sneaks in here. Not always the obvious kind. Sometimes it's alcohol, sometimes porn, sometimes work, sometimes scrolling, and sometimes the quiet ritual you never talk about. And so, it's not about pleasure, but about sensation. When you're numb, intensity becomes the only thing that cuts through. That's why the driver comes alive during the chase, during danger, during violence. That's when his focus sharpens. That's when his body wakes up. That's when he's fully present. For a moment, he feels something. You might not chase danger like that, but you know the feeling. The late-night drink that finally loosens your chest. The binge that makes time disappear. The risky decision that reminds you you're still here. It's not that you want to self-destruct. You just want to feel real again. Here's the quiet truth. Emotional numbness is not the absence of emotion. It's the compression of it. Everything gets pushed down into a narrow channel so you can keep functioning. And it works until the pressure builds. Chapter 3. When connection threatens the system. Then, Irene enters the story. She's not dramatic, not demanding. She's warm in a way that doesn't force itself. She talks. She listens. She brings a child into the room. A sense of ordinary life. And something in the driver shifts. Not loudly, not romantically in the obvious way, subtly. He starts showing up, fixing things, standing closer than necessary, protecting. He doesn't explain himself. He doesn't confess anything. He acts. That's important. Emotionally numb men don't fear connection because they don't care. They fear it because it wakes something up, and connection loosens the seal, and suddenly there's more at stake. Someone who could be hurt, someone who could leave, someone who could see you beyond the role you've perfected. You felt this. The relationship you kept at arm's length. The woman you liked but never fully let in. The friendships that stayed surface level. The conversations you redirected before they got too personal. It wasn't because you were cold, but it was because you knew what came next. Feeling returns in layers. Hope first, then fear, then the old pain that never got resolved. The driver doesn't move toward Irene with words, because words would make it real. Action is safer. Action stays contained. But the system is already destabilizing. Once feeling comes back online, even a little, numbness becomes harder to maintain, and the cost of losing control rises. This is where many men get stuck. They want connection, but not the exposure that comes with it. They want intimacy, but not the chaos of emotion. So they hover, half in, half out, present but not available. And eventually, something breaks. Chapter 4. The moment numbness fails. The elevator scene. It starts softly. A moment of closeness, a kiss, a rare unguarded connection. And then violence erupts, brutal, excessive, overwhelming. This isn't random. This is what happens when numbness cracks under pressure. The system wasn't designed to hold tenderness and threat at the same time. The emotional bandwidth is too narrow, so it floods. The driver doesn't gradually process fear. He doesn't negotiate boundaries. He explodes. Then, just as quickly, he withdraws. Back into silence and into distance. You've seen this pattern in your own life. Maybe not with violence, but with overreaction, emotional shutdown, sudden detachment, self-sabotage right after things start to matter. It is always like one step forward, 2 steps back. And it's not because you're incapable of intimacy. It's because you never rebuilt the capacity for feeling safely. Emotional numbness delays pain. It doesn't remove it. It stores it. And when it comes back, it doesn't come back gently. That's why suppressed emotion often shows up sideways. For example, anger instead of sadness, irritation instead of grief, risk instead of vulnerability. The driver doesn't become a monster. He becomes overloaded. So do you. Here's the reframe you need. Your numbness isn't a moral failure. It's a survival strategy that outlived its usefulness. At some point, it protected you. But protection becomes a prison when the threat is gone and the walls stay up. Chapter 5. One step forward. At the end of the film, the driver drives away alone again. Not triumphant, not redeemed, just moving. Some people see that as tragic. Others see it as stoic. But here's the more honest read. He hasn't learned how to integrate feeling into his life yet. So distance is still the only way he knows how to survive. This is where the story hands off to you. You don't need a dramatic transformation. You don't need to cry on command or relive every wound. You need orientation. You need to understand what's happening inside you without judging it. And here's the one step forward. Start noticing where you feel nothing, not where you feel pain, not where you feel stress, but where you feel blank. The conversations that don't register, the wins that don't land, the relationships that feel abstract, the days that blur together. That's the edge of your numbness. Don't try to fix it yet. Just notice. Then pick one place where you can add a small amount of presence. Not intensity, but just presence. Stay in a conversation 10% longer instead of checking out. Sit with discomfort without numbing it immediately. Say one honest sentence you usually swallow. Small, controlled, on purpose. You're not tearing down the armor, you're just loosening one strap. Emotional numbness doesn't disappear because you understand it. It softens when you prove to yourself that feeling won't destroy you anymore. that you're not that exposed man from the past, that you have more capacity now. And remember, you don't need to become someone else. You need to come back online gradually, like a system rebooting after years in safe mode. The driver teaches you this without ever saying it. Function without feeling keeps you alive. But feeling integrated slowly is what brings you back to yourself. And that's enough for today. Just enough.